Maria Schrader, thank you for that. Welcome back to the Watch List. And let's bring in our panel to discuss all things about the U.S. housing market at this time. Aaron Sykes, Chief Economist, Nest Seekers International, and Rogers Healy, owner, CEO, Healy Global Relocation. Thanks for being with us. Aaron, I'll start with you as we look at what's going on. I know you both saw existing home sales again this morning falling, right? I say again because it's the fourth straight month that we're seeing a little bit of a pullback, but there are so many factors that go into this. And anybody I speak to in real estate is still talking about demand. I mean, I read an article about a home going $1 million over asking. It's not unusual, or flipping homes. So why are we having this disparity, Aaron, and where do we go from here?
So a lot of it is related to lack of supply. So we're getting used to a situation, particularly in hotspots like Florida and Austin and the Hamptons, and now trickling back into New York City. We're getting used to bidding wars, and this has been mentally exhausting for a lot of buyers. They want to move quickly because they want to capture the current low interest rates. And so we are drawing a lot of that demand forward. However, at the same time, they don't want to compromise and they don't want to deal with the bidding wars. So people are starting to step back. They're looking a lot towards new construction, kind of putting that into their minds. Well, maybe I'll build. And that could be a better situation for us long term. If we look at the premiums that new construction is going for in Palm Beach Island, it's selling 139% over where new construction was selling last year. So there's also some large gains to be made by perhaps skipping the resale market and going into new construction.
Right. And, and give me your thoughts, Rogers, before I pose the next question.
Yeah, I think just echoing her sentiment, where we're seeing this stuff all across the board. We have 3 times as many buyers as we had 2 years ago with half the amount of listings. So I think that panic buying is still happening, but there is going to be some kind of leveling off with people that are not going to be able to take advantage of the market, because a seller in most situations becomes a buyer. So whether it's in Florida, New York, Texas, or Indiana, this is kind of our new normal. And after 11 months of talking about this, I think we've embraced the fact that this is just kind of how it is. And when someone overpays by 20, 50, 100%, that sets the new comp. And so some of these people might not be able to justify moving into a neighborhood, so the outbound or the inbound people are making it work.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, because the monthly sales were only higher in the Midwest, where it rose 1.6%. For the other areas, fell 4% in the West, 0.4% in the South, 1.4% in Northeast. So my question to you, Rogers, is we are hearing about, and we're going to get new home sales tomorrow, right? I'm starting to hear about a lot of builders choosing when they construct homes, because they're trying to get the best prices for materials. Contracts now being changed in a way that there's really no timeline and that the cost can fluctuate, really giving the home builders a lot of power. Do you think is this going to stay and stick like this? And could this slow home sales too? Because that brings uncertainty for folks.
Sure. So long story short, yes and no. And historically, builder contracts are not the standardized forms that we use in New York or Texas or whatever. And there's always fine print. But ironically, before we went on today, I was looking at the Dallas Morning News site, and one of the posts a journalist made was, have any home buyers been canceled, have a contract terminated by the builder? Which is almost unheard of. And so I think that builders have to ride the wave of the costs. And there's not a lot of incentive for fabricators to go and reduce their price if they're needed so much. So I think it has changed the way that new construction properties have sold. But to Aaron's point, it's on paper still a better deal to buy new construction right now, but you have to wait it out, which also means rental rates have increased to historic highs. So I think we're all still trying to figure this out, but the builders definitely have more control than they've ever had before, because the one thing you can't go and just make is land. So if they purchased their land a few years ago, they're sitting pretty, but we don't know the prices until the properties are even completed, which is also unheard of. So it just kind of changes with the wind.
Right. I think you're making some great points, Aaron. New home sales tomorrow. Quick thought, as you said, new home sales, if you're patient enough, and I guess you can wait for this, I don't know, kind of timeline, and wait for the builder to decide when he, is ready to move it along, right?
I'm bullish for new home sales, especially Yeah, especially looking at what Lowe's is doing and the other home builders today in the market. I think that it's still strong. The demand is there. If somebody can't satisfy what they want in the resale market, they're going to look at new construction. And that said, sometimes it's secondary when we're taking clients out. A lot of times people pull directly from the MLS and they default to go see resale listings. And it doesn't come into play to look at new developments because you have to go to those on a more of an independent basis rather than being one master system. So sometimes that's the second go around when we're taking clients out unless they're requesting that out front. And to Roger's point, I was actually one of those people. As an individual, my contract was canceled by the builder because lumber prices went up 300% in copper and steel and everything else. And I had just too good of a deal. So they canceled my contract.
I think that's pretty amazing. At what point do we start to see some sort of surge again? And is this anything like 2008? And people are saying no. Rogers?
So my initial reaction to it not being like 2008 is that the majority of the home buyers the next decade are going to be millennials. In 2008, millennials were in middle school. And so I think we have to just look real black and white. But at the same time, that's why places like Indiana and Nebraska and places that are not necessarily places you thought would be your dream location are doing well because people can't afford the places that are on the outer sides of the United States. So I don't think we're on the verge of a bubble. And again, if you just look at it black and white, remove the emotions, stuff like Aaron dealt with, that's unheard of. It's crazy. But there is an influx of buyers being birthed every single day that give us job security for the next 10 years plus.
Yeah, and mortgage rates continue to be very affordable, near these lows. Thank you both, Aaron and Rogers. Thank you. Aaron Sykes, Chief Economist, Nest Seekers International. Rogers Healy, owner, CEO, Healy Global Relocation. Thanks.